I'm at the Victoria Harbour Airport here in British Columbia to do something I've wanted to for a while, which is fly on board the TwinOtter. I'll be taking this flight with Harbour Air on what is their busiest route up to the Vancouver Harbour Flight Centre. This airport is right in downtown Victoria Harbour, and with the Vancouver Harbour Flight Centre also being right in the downtown area, this is by far the quickest way to get between the two cities, especially if you are going between the downtown areas. Flying Harbour Air is a breeze, as you only need to get to the airport about 40 minutes before your scheduled departure time if you're flying within Canada. However, if you happen to be hanging around the city and you're bored, you are more than welcome to check in before that 40 minutes, but do make sure to be checked in before the cutoff time for the flights, as all passengers do need to be checked in at least 15 to 20 minutes before your departure time, depending on which ticket you booked. And keep in mind these times do refer to their domestic flights on the seaplanes. After you're checked in, you're welcome to have a seat, and they do offer very comfortable seating here at the terminal, as well as free Wi-Fi. And they did start the boarding process for the flight about 10 minutes before departure time, and you hand in the receipt you got at check-in.
515 on flight 2248, we are now available for boarding. Please proceed to the departure hallway with your 2248 boarding pass ready for collection and cell phones put away.
Once outside, I was able to see the star of the show, a de Havilland TwinOtter that carries the registration CGFHA. Although this isn't the oldest aircraft I've ever been on, it's pretty close, with this aircraft being built in 1981 and flying for a handful of different airlines before coming to Harbour Air in February of 2018. Seating for the passengers on Harbour Air is first come first served for the most part, so do make sure to get towards the front of the line, as there are aisle seats, and although the windows are pretty big, it is nice being able to sit right next to a window.
Okay, this is Mike. We'll be taking you to Vancouver Harbour. Going to go 35 minutes once we get in the air. It's going to play a safety briefing video, goes over the safety features and equipment on board.
Welcome to Canada. Requires all passengers to obey crew instructions as needed. Safety briefing cards are in the seat backs in front of you. Please pull them out and follow along. Smoking and the use of electronics.
Clear it.
Radio update, TwinOtter Harbour 610 on the taxi. We have November, pointing westbound, left out 3,500, terminal for Vancouver Harbour.
10 Harbour Roger, squawk 3024.
3024, express 610.
Cruise expected.
before for reference, and I had maybe an inch or two in front of my knees. So not a ton, but again, this is a 19-seat propeller plane. In the seat back pocket there is a safety card as well as earplugs, and a 6-sec, which luckily nobody on board needed to use this flight. Above, or I guess next to your head depending on how tall you are, is a reading light as well as an air vent. And on the front wall of the cabin there is a no smoking sign as well as a fasten seatbelt sign. But perhaps one of the best features about this plane, especially if you're sitting in one of the first couple of rows, is that you can see directly into the cockpit. No need for Wi-Fi because again, depending on where you are on the plane, you can see the GPS directly on the cockpit panel. Usually I'm not this exact with the cruising altitude, but I could see the instrument panel in the cockpit, so I knew exactly how high we were. Even though there is no Wi-Fi, in-flight entertainment, or even an in-flight magazine on Harbour Air's flights, it doesn't really matter, as looking at the world beneath you is your in-flight entertainment, especially when you're flying on a day that has super nice weather and clear skies like this day. So I spent the entire rest of the flight looking at the scenery beneath me, and I'll try and point out as many things as I possibly can. Here's a super cool fun fact about the Vancouver Harbour Flight Center if you'd ever like to make a bet with someone about it someday. This airport does offer the highest control tower in the entire world at 466 feet. Despite it being the tallest, most people do not consider it to be the tallest because it looks like the top of a control tower was placed on a high-rise building in downtown Vancouver, more specifically the Granville Square building, which you can see here in this picture. Most people consider the tallest control tower in the world to be the main international airport in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia at 446 feet. The main reason people consider that to be the tallest control tower is because that building was built purposely for a control tower, versus in Vancouver it's just the top of a control tower placed on a random building. However, since there are no parameters to what makes a control tower other than, well, controlling planes from it, that would make the Vancouver Harbour Flight Center control tower the tallest in the world.
Target Express 610 QE out of 3,200 for 3,000. Restricted inbound with NEMA.
Harbour Express 610 Harbour Tower, cleared left base for the westbound number 1.
Left base 610.
Express 610, caution for a westbound boat north of the prow, winds 280 at 8, gusting 15, land west, your discretion.
Okay, we got the boat there, we check 610.
I had an absolutely wonderful time on board Harbour Air, and I'm so glad I got to finally try out the TwinOtter. Flying on Harbour Air from Victoria to Vancouver Harbour is by far the fastest way to get between the two downtown areas, given the very short flight time and the low amount of time you need to get to the airport before your departure. Not only does Harbour Air do this route with the TwinOtter, but they also do this flight on the de Havilland DHC3 version, which has 12 seats on board. Harbour Air does operate this route a lot between Vancouver Harbour and Victoria Harbour, with it sometimes going up to 23 departures a day, depending on the day of the week. Because seaplanes cannot currently land during the nighttime, they currently offer these flights only during the daylight hours, with them operating at least every hour and sometimes every 15 minutes during rush hour. I do have other videos from Harbour Air coming out, including my flight on board their single otter from YVR South down to Victoria Harbour, as well as my in-person interview with their assistant chief pilot, where he talks about the introduction of IFR flying to seaplanes.